And welcome to the Factor Uncensored. Tonight we're talking about independence, freedom, from financial to emotional freedom. Kicking off this special edition of The Factor, we talk with divorce attorney Leniece Lewis about how to get out of a horrible marriage.
What if you have been, as an individual, stuck in a marriage for years and you're just not happy? What are the first steps of gaining that independence without well, I guess you would have to shake things up if you want to be free and the other partner does not. But what are the first steps you take to free yourself from a marriage when you're unhappy?
So you hit on something. You said if the other person does not want to be free, right? So there's only one of you that wants out of this marriage. I still think you need to talk to that other person. Let them know, what's going on. Let them know where you are mentally. And if you are considering divorce, because of course in Texas, we don't have legal separation. You're either married or you're divorced. You want to talk to them about that and see if there are changes that can be made. And if not, you want to start consulting with an attorney, even if you don't share it with that person, just to understand what are your rights, what duties would you all have to each other and how that process would work. But first step, of course, is always going to be to talk to the other person and let them know, hey, this is where I'm at with it mentally.
And one of the important things you said, I guess it's a TV thing, and you hear it in other states where you say, I'm separated. And there is no legal term such as separation in the state of Texas. Either you're married or you're not. Simple as that.
Right.
Now, you may take a break, but you're still married until you're divorced.
That is absolutely correct, Isaiah. And you will have people that will be separated for a long time. I've had a divorce that was pending for almost 3 years because the parties thought they wanted to be divorced, but then what happened was the person who filed didn't know if they actually wanted to go through with it. Mm-hmm. So you can have situations where people feel like they are they want the divorce, but until they are divorced, they are still legally married.
No, there's one of those important things when people are going through the process of divorce that you have made quite clear. Don't take your ass out there dating and seeing other people before your divorce is done.
Absolutely. Don't do that, because what happens is people can plead grounds of adultery, asserting that one party is having a sexual relationship with someone else, because people confuse it. They think adultery is, well, I've been talking on the phone. I know they're talking on the phone with this person or going to eat with this person. They're just enjoying the companionship and friendship of someone. But you certainly don't want to be in a situation where you have that issue coming up in your divorce, because that could affect how the property is ultimately divided.
Oh, really? So if you are seen as the one who's committing adultery in the marriage, you could get less or be penalized by the courts.
Absolutely. It's grounds for divorce. In Texas, we have no fault divorces. So you could just wake up and decide you don't want to be married to someone anymore. And that would be good enough for the court, right? But then that kind of puts you more at where the scales are kind of like this. We're starting at like if we just split things down the middle, right? We kind of look there most of the time. But if you've committed adultery, then those are now grounds that you can put in your pleading for divorce, where the court could then give the person who's the adulterer less. And so the victim or the innocent spouse could then get a disproportionate share of the community based on the fault of the other party. No, so you don't need fault to be divorced, but if there is fault, it could result in you getting less of the community.
Now, could that harm a situation if children are involved and there's a tug of war for custody?
So sometimes that can come into play if you've had the child around this other person, or the court may feel like you're not necessarily acting in the child or children's best interest because you're more concerned with spending time with your new boo thing than, spending time with the kids. The court can certainly look at that and say, well, this parent seems to be acting more in the children's best interest. But most of the time, it's really going to affect you on that property division, because even when people are dating or whatever throughout the process of divorce, they most of the time they're pretty conscious about how they have these people around their kids.
And of course, when you go through a divorce, people are angry. In some instances, when they want that independence, they're angry, but then it takes a psychological toll on you, right? It could be
Absolutely.
a process that could take what, a couple of months to a couple of years.
Yep, the more agreeable you two are, the shorter it's the less amount of time it's going to take to get finalized. The more people fight and argue, regardless of how small the issues are, the longer it's going to potentially take. So yeah, if it's something that is if emotions are driving it, a lot of times that's when you see those divorces end up taking longer because it's about the principle, it's about sticking it to the other person more than it is about just getting out of the marriage.
And of course, there's always a cost for your independence. And I guess that varies from case to case and
Yeah.
who's more agreeable and how easy the case will be.
Absolutely. So we have two different types of divorces. We have contested and we have uncontested. Uncontested is when you and your spouse can agree on pretty much every issue, and it's much less work for the attorney, right? And attorneys bill you by the hour. So you're going to pay significantly less than when you have a contested divorce because the parties are now fighting over issues. Again, no matter how small, the more that attorney has to work, the more they have to go to work and go to court and advocate on your behalf, the more you're paying. So that's why it's always good to start having that conversation with the other person to see what you can agree on and if you can agree, because it really costs that fight costs. The emotions are going to cost you.
Absolutely. Attorney Leniece Lewis, always good to see you, and great
Good to
advice
see you
on
too.
gaining your independence in a miserable ass marriage if you are ready to get away and get out and start a new journey. Always good to see you here on The Factor Uncensored.
Good to see you too. Thank you.